Mike here with Liberty Aid Academy, and I want to go over the tax exempt issue with our trust because people are like, "Oh, what is tax exempt?" Yes, it's tax exempt, and let's go through the laws so that you're comfortable. Oh, now I understand why it's tax exempt. So let's just go through it. Okay, it's very simple stuff. All right, there's online we have this great, excuse me, free resource called Cornell Law School. They have all the laws for the United States online for free, which is great. U.S. U.S. code, and this is the part of the U.S. code, Internal Revenue Code. It's on taxation. Okay, and this particular code, so that's the 26 U.S. code. You follow me? It's the 26 part of U.S. code. Okay, and this is a certain section. It's called, see, Section 501. Right, that this symbol here means section. 501. Exemption from tax on corporations. Cool. Certain trusts. Really cool. Etc. Okay. We got a certain trust. Excellent. And that's great. And yeah, trust is a type of corporation, so it actually qualifies on corporations and trusts. Great. But I'm just saying it has trust in the heading. So you know it applies to trust. So why people don't think this is real, and all they got to do is just go read. Okay, so A, we go right here. Exempt from taxation. Any organization described as C or D shall be exempt from taxation. Boop. Okay, so C or D. Great. C, right? 501 C. 501 C3. That's what everybody's used to. C3. C. C. The following organizations are referred to as subsection A. We just went through A. Okay, great. And so let's look at C, list of exempt organizations. And then number three, corporations, comma, and all these other things qualify too. But corporations, what is a corporation? It's a broad term that means any type of, business entity, anything you can bank with, right? Anything you get an EIN for, that's just a broad term for business type of any kind. So it can apply to any business type. It could also apply to these other listed things here. Okay, so that's it. Corporations, comma, and. That and is all this. And any community trust, blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay. You can do all those kind too. Yep. But just corporations is fine too. Isn't that wonderful? Oh, great. All right. So, okay. So you want to be able to, qualify under 501c3 as a corporation. Yes. That's the goal. Okay. Fantastic. So let's see if there is any way to do that. All right. And it turns out there is. Special rules. Look at this heading. Special rules with respect to 501c3 organizations. Oh, special rules. That's what we need, a special rule. In other words, we don't want to apply and ask permission to be a 501c3. We want a special rule to be 501c3. Great. Let's see about what this says. Okay, so we're in the same, Internal Revenue Code section. Okay, so great. All right, this is about taxes. And it says, new organization must notify secretary, right, on the IRS, uh, that they are applying for recognition of 501c3 except, right? Except as provided in subsection C, right? Here we go. Unless, right? And here's an exception. Oh, sweet. So, what is this? An exception to applying for the exemption, right? It's a mandatory exception. Mandatory. Mandatory exception. Fantastic. So this means you're already 501c3. Great. You have to notify them and apply, or look at this. There's an exception. You don't notify them or let them know. Fantastic. Mandatory exceptions. Great. Churches, okay, that's a comma. They are auxiliary, They're integrated auxiliaries. Okay, there's a comma. So that's two different kinds there. Then we have and conventions. Oh, what's a convention? A convention is agreement between two parties. Uh, let's do Black's Law uh, and look it up. See, because what is a convention, right? Black's Law Convention. Because we're like, I don't know what that word means, right? What is a convention? This is fascinating. What's a convention? Well, it's actually really because the IRS doesn't define it, so you have to go, oh, what's a common legal meaning for convention? An agreement between parties. Okay? Agreement between two parties. Agreement between parties. Okay, that means there has to be two parties, right? In this case, the party is trustee and grantor. That's it. You follow? Okay, so that's it. You make an agreement between, and you could hold the position for a trust of someone can hold. You can't hold all three positions. There are three positions, right? There's trustee, there's grantor, that's who starts it, and then there's beneficiary. So you can be grantor and trustee, and you don't have to name beneficiaries. That's not required by law. Okay, so you could be grantor and trustee. That means there's a pact formed between those two parties of trustee and grantor. Boom, done. Okay, so there's a mandatory exception for trusts that have an agreement between two parties, and all you do is get the EIN. Isn't that wonderful that they helped us out with all that? I think it's wonderful. So that's it. That's how the organization remains, it shall remain, uh, tax exempt. Now you're like, oh, well, okay. Well, let's look for some guidance from like the government elsewhere, right? So what are we looking for? This is the SBA talking about frequently asked questions regarding PPP and EIDL for faith-based organizations. Well, and maybe there's a little other information in there too. Let's look at number 3. How will churches qualify if they have not been informed of tax exempt status by the IRS? Oh, a good question. Oh, if not been informed, how would they? Oh, do organizations have to request or receive tax exempt status or just meet the requirements of 501c3? What a great question. Churches, including temples, mosques, synagogues, and other houses of worship. Okay, that's what churches means. Thank you, comma. And now look at this. You could read this reads exactly as a 508c1A code did. Look at this. It's a word for word. Integrated auxiliaries of churches and conventions. That's the code for 508c1A. You see, uh, they qualify for PPP and EIDL loans as long as they meet the requirements for 501c3. Great. What you do? And all other PPP and EIDL requirements, of course. Now let's look at this next sentence, which is fantastically wonderful. Such organizations are not required to apply to the IRS to receive tax exempt status. See section 508c1A. We just saw that section. We just looked at it. Now this is the government telling you this is the section where you don't need a letter from the IRS to be 501c3. The law says it, and the government says it, and this is very current guidance on EIDL and PPP. So there's no question that this trust that we have 100% tax exempt according to the law. Okay? And you could use it for anything. Don't have to be just a church or none of that stuff. No. It's agreement between two parties. All you do is open that bank account and do any financial transactions of any kind, and they are tax exempt. I mean, why? I just don't understand. Maybe someone write me an email, contact@libertyAidAcademy.org. Why are you paying taxes? Help me out. I don't understand. You see what I'm saying? I don't get it. Like, it's completely legal 100% legal to be tax exempt and not pay taxes no matter what you do in the United States. And you just use this method. We can help you through it. And that's not tax exempt for a year or for this transaction, it's forever. Okay? So, my little quip, my little joke is, hey, if you love your government at the end of the year, pay the money. Just don't be required to. You see what I'm saying? It's not going to change anything that you do. This is structure related, okay? If you got an LLC, a nonprofit, C corp, name some other corporation, right? They have rules. What you do is action based. Oh, if you did this action, you owe taxes. Okay. This trust is not like that. It's not action based. Okay. It's structure based. Meaning, great, you started the trust and you're 501c3 through the 508c1a exemption. As soon as you get the EIN, you're tax exempt, you don't apply. Isn't life easy? Why would it? Isn't business hard enough? And so, what isn't life hard enough? Why would you want to be required to have to pay taxes? No, no. Just pay them if you really love them, if you have plenty of money left over. That's it. Okay. Just proving the tax exempt status of our trust and why. The answer to everyone's question, I get this question a lot. Does this trust hold up in court? I'm like, no. That doesn't hold up in court. Why would anyone take it to court? That doesn't, what are you talking about? It's legal. It's tax exempt. There's no court cases. Uh, there's no controversy of any kind about this. There never has been for one student, for anyone. Just because you don't know you could operate this way legally doesn't mean other people don't know. You see what I'm saying? You were just in the dark and then you found out. It's not illegal, you just didn't know. But now you know. So why don't you follow the law and save you and your family super much money every year? I would highly recommend it. It's a wonderful thing to do. Okay? And it's not quote your money, it's a trust, right? So if you do anything, i.e., your person, it doesn't relate to the trust, and no one can touch anything in the trust. Hooray! So many good things about this trust, right? Okay, but that's a tax exempt part. Okay, you with me? So simple. You can look this up, go over it. It's very simple information. All right, get that trust. Okay, wait, come on, get the trust. LibertyAidAcademy.org, McKeag Mastery Trust. Get the trust.